Hello there. So today is the big day, the Fault in Our Stars day. I saw it yesterday on June 5th at the 9 o'clock premiere. It's very odd that I've seen the movie because I've been waiting for it since the book came out, and I know many of you are in the same boat. So when the book came out, I was much young, well, I was 2 years younger, but I was 13, which feels a lot younger. And after I read it, I did immediately make a video about it. And I just rewatched it to listen to what Fetus Tiernan had to say about it, and at the beginning he said this. I think we all could have pretty much pre-reviewed this because we all knew how amazing it was gonna be. I'll just review it anyway. And I feel like that's also accurate for the movie. Ever since we've been getting stills and trailers and cast interviews and sneak peeks, all of our expectations have been way up here, and we all kind of knew that we would love it. John Green has been saying how much he loves it. The trailer was amazing, so I think many of us knew that we would love this movie. See, 2 years ago, Fetus Tiernan had this to say about the possibility of a movie. I don't think it would make a good movie, just because it's all about what's going on in her head. That much voiceover would just be bad. The dialogue is not enough to get to know these characters. And people agreed with that too. But now, after having just reread the book, I feel like I was very wrong about that. There was voiceover. There wasn't too much voiceover. I still felt like I knew Hazel pretty well and connected with her character. I still knew Gus pretty well because, I mean, we're never inside of his head. So that leads me to the first thing that I really want to talk about, which is Shailene Woodley's performance. There is still a pretty good number of Shailene haters out there who are basing their opinions on The Secret Life of the American Teenager. Shailene Woodley blew me away in Divergent, and then I wanted to see how she would do as Hazel in this movie. The trailer looked awesome, so the expectations were high, and I had a lot of faith in her. But her performance in this was one of the few things that really exceeded my expectations. I mean, all around, the expectations were met, but Shailene Woodley went way above and beyond what I expected. This year, she has proven to be an amazing actress, and watching her in interviews and seeing her personality so much, she's really an amazing person too. Everything she did as Hazel just seemed so natural to her. At the times where she had to show that raw emotion, she just did it so perfectly. Her portrayal of Hazel was beautiful. Also, Ansel Elgort. Wow. Exactly how I wanted Gus to be in the movie. I also did see a lot of Ansel come out in the character. I feel like they have a lot in common, because the sweet, charming Ansel that I've seen in interviews was definitely present in Gus, which was great. Between those two, they have so many big quotes that they had to, you know, like say and make real life. And it was so odd to hear them, because when you read them in the book or when you see them made into pictures that fans make, I just always have like this pretentious voice in my head, you know, that quote reader voice, but then hearing them actually say it, it was so different. And the first time I saw this was when Hazel was giving her speech, "There will come a time when all of us are dead, all of us, blah blah blah." Every time I read that quote, I read it as like, "There will come a time when all of us are dead. All of us." But then I saw her do it, and that's what I was expecting, but then it completely caught me off guard in the best way. Because when Shailene gave that speech, she was like, "Yo, we're all gonna die, and like, that's inevitable." And I was like, wow, I did not see that coming. Also, that is so much better than how I would have seen that coming, so thank you. It was just so nice to see them portrayed as just normal teenagers who share a similar problem so they don't have to focus on it so much. And I think that's definitely something that the two characters bring out of each other. The way this was filmed, I felt like was really nice. It was simple. It felt kind of like an independent film, which I thought was really nice for this book. I love the soundtrack. It's absolutely beautiful. For that Swedish rap song that I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce, when I was listening to the soundtrack, I had no idea that was Van Houten talking. I had no freaking idea how to pronounce Leadavai. So then when he started talking, I was like, that's the voice from the soundtrack. I felt so dumb because everyone probably realized that. And then he said it exactly how it is on the soundtrack. And I was like, what is this? I don't know what I thought it was. But I definitely really appreciated how everything was executed. I think if it were done any other way, it would have had a really different feel to it. But it was definitely done really well, and it had that nice simplicity to it. So I think the acting was something that really brought out the beauty in the story. Nat Wolff as well was awesome. I was able to see him on a panel at BookCon last week, and he and John Green and the director were all discussing the movie, and it was an insane panel with so many crazy fangirls. I'm talking like pushing and screaming and lots of tears. Although turns out a lot of them were you guys. Ever since editing Parallel, which is my short film that I just put out a couple weeks ago, every time I watch a movie or a TV show, I kind of see things differently, because when you're editing a scene with like dialogue and different characters and you have these different angles and shots, and you have to make sure that it's done in a way so it looks the same in every different angle. That's something that I've paid really close attention to because I can't help myself anymore, so I always watch the editing in movies now. So I think I definitely had a different appreciation for how that was done. One small thing that I didn't like was that the beginning of the movie was the exact same as the beginning of the trailer. Like, even the voiceover clips were no different. After a few seconds, she starts to talk about other things that weren't in the trailer, but still. And then at the end, it also ended the same way, which was fine. I mean, it was a good ending and all, and I even talked about that when I talked about the trailer. I was like, I feel like this is how they'll end the movie, but I don't like it when the end is the same as the end in the trailer. Then the feels that I get for the end of the movie aren't, like, new. There were a lot of parts where I did get emotional, but not at the end, strangely. At the end, I did get, you know, a rush of adrenaline. I'll call it the Tiffios high, like where everything that you get out of Tiffios kind of comes rushing at you with that last speech. But I did start crying when Gus went and picked Hazel up for their date. And I think that was sort of intended with the music and with the way it was shot. It was very emotional, that one part. That was the only part where I really cried though. Hazel's eulogy was also beautiful. Again, Shailene. I feel like my expectations were definitely very, very high, and they were met. I just wasn't blown away because I felt like I already knew how it was gonna be, and it was exactly how I wanted it to be. It's just with all of the hype and all of the hopes that we have, it's hard to be blown away when I feel like I already know this movie. And that's no one's fault but my own. I was genuinely impressed, and I'm very happy with the movie. Ansel Elgort brought out Gus perfectly. Augustus Waters is the perfect guy, and he has these extraordinary goals, and it was just heartbreaking to see him go through this. And the chemistry between Ansel and Shailene was just beautiful, how they both helped each other out, and the things that they brought out of one another were definitely visible. Just seeing the transitions between the bench in Amsterdam, that scene, and then the funeral, everything in between there was just heartbreaking to watch. But there was always that little bit of Augustus Waters behind him, and I really appreciated that, because that's something that's hard to do. Anyway, overall, the Tiffios movie, I was extremely happy with it. I thought it was perfectly done. Again, exactly as I expected it to be. There were a lot of moments where I was genuinely impressed, mostly with Shailene. This is the best performance I've ever seen her give. But I thought it was adapted really well. It followed the book perfectly. The directing was amazing. The soundtrack was beautiful. All of the actors shined in their own way. Overall, a great movie, and especially a great book-to-movie adaptation. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you not like it? I'm curious to hear from people who didn't like it. I don't think there are too many of them though. But if there's anything that I forgot to mention, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on the movie. Alright, I will see you guys next time. So I think that's it. Have a good one and goodbye!